I get an award from Sudhamurthy. I finished college and I was one of those guys who kept saying, I want to study in the US. I want to study in the US. I get a call at 6 in the morning from my mom. And my mom is in tears. The very famous thing in the startup world, which is do things that don't scale.
So tell me how you're incorporating technology into your developments.
So we're trying to build the first home GPT. Home GPT is more like, you know how you have chat GPT? And I'll also tell you one thing, you've got to fail fast. We realized that our mind's not going through, it didn't work. Oh, we tried crypto also, by the way.
At that time?
We set up a mini data center in our house. And the next day we had an electricity bill of 4 lakhs. But typically, especially in India, you have to go to 2-3 medical shops before you get all the medicines. And I had to get some medicines because my wife fell sick initially. I was really upset.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Dexetra.
What does that mean, Dexetra? Is it like etc. or even a
That
senior?
wasn't a senior.
Okay. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Punjabi Sharks. Today we have somebody very special, his good friend and client, Faizan Aziz. He's a serial entrepreneur, and I'm sure you will find a lot of things that you can take away from this podcast and implement in your own life. So I want to introduce you to Faizan. Hi, Faizan. How are you?
Hey, Jay. Thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it. Been working with you for quite some time.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. Big fan of the show.
Thank you.
Saw a few of your episodes.
Okay.
And I was hoping one day I could be here. So I think I am. So that's great.
Thank you, Faizan. Thank you, Faizan. How was your drive down here?
Well, traffic's busy,
Yeah.
as always. But the good thing is because we're meeting in the evening, I didn't have any problem with the parking, which is
Good.
always a plus.
Yeah. Especially in Business Bay, you know, it's insane in these hours.
Exactly.
When we're leaving the office. And weekdays, of course, are just... I mean, if you come here on a Sunday, it's totally different. It's
And we were
empty.
thinking about getting an office in Business Bay.
Yeah.
Now I'm so happy that we didn't do that and got one in Dubai Hills. So
Good.
it's a lot better.
Well, congratulations on that again. So Faizan, before we get into, you know, what you're doing now, I was very interested because I don't know myself, right? What your background is, what your, how you grew up and where you grew up. So I want to know more about that, to be honest.
Okay.
And where you came from and how, you know, you came to be as a person. So can we start with
Story
your
time.
early childhood? Tell us where you're from.
I'm from Bangalore, India, born and brought up there. My family's been in Bangalore for a very, very long time, almost since 1928.
Okay.
Business family, everybody loves business. My mother comes from an educationist background, where my mother's father is a doctor, her brothers are surgeon, her brother is a surgeon, other brothers are engineers. My mother herself studied dentistry, but my father is from a business family. And the one thing he wanted to make sure was both his children were not into business. And guess what? We're in business. So kind of failed.
Okay.
He wanted to make sure that we studied. Education was very, very high priority, even though in my family wasn't actually that much of a priority. But my father was very concerned. My mother was, needless to say, extremely concerned. If we got a 90, we'd probably be punished. We'd be like, okay, you just got 90? Like, really? So it was quite challenging in our school years. But as we got older and older, I started naturally gravitating towards engineering because I love computers. It's always been one of my most favorite passion. I love engineering. I love computers. I've loved programming, and I used to code since I was 12. So obviously, since I'm coding since I'm 12 and all of that, I moved into engineering. My brother moved into surgery, completely different. And guess what he does today? He does construction. So it's a U-turn.
That's great.
But it was a good journey. Yeah. So that's a little bit about my childhood.
Right. So
Always
you grew up in Bangalore?
grew up in Bangalore, loved to take things apart. I always got a new toy. That was my first thing that I did. I just opened it up. I never knew how to put it back. I'd say I had like a 20% hit rate. 80% of that I could just open it up, but not really put it back. But yeah, that was my journey.
So you learned how to like move fast and break things.
Move
initially.
fast, break things, not really put them back.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely learn how to break things.
Okay. So like during your school years, were there any people that you looked up to? Like somebody that inspired you maybe to get into engineering or software?
So it was quite interesting, but when you come from Bangalore, right, you have to understand that in Bangalore, you have two sets of crowds. You have the software crowd and everybody else. The software crowd, like Narayan Murthy and Narayan Murthy's family, they're quite a big deal. And obviously, we all look up to them because they built something in a time which, honestly speaking, is really tough, right? The old India was very different. You had a lot of exchange control, you had a lot of restrictions on importing and stuff. And they built this conglomerate, Infosys, right? And I always loved Infosys as a company because they did software. It's really that simple, right? And I always wanted to do something interesting where I could do something fun, right? So in my 10th standard, I decided that I wanted to redo the school website. And why? I honestly don't know. So I just wanted to build something which was very interesting. I didn't like the old website. I was in a school called Bishop Cotton Boys School, and we built something very interesting and completely different. And we hosted it on a website called cottonboys.com. It was me and another person named Thomas. Thomas now works in Apple. Hey, Thomas, what's up? So it was very interesting for us. And nobody told us that we'll get something out of it because we just did it for fun. We didn't really plan. Long behold, it turns out that that year, the graduation's chief guest was Sudhamurthy. And guess what? I get an award from Sudhamurthy for building the school website and redoing it. And I was so happy because it's like, I'm looking up at these people and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get an award from them. So it was a pretty interesting journey.
Okay, very nice, very nice. So after school, you went to college, you did your software engineering degree, or what did you do?
So you like stories, so I'm going to tell you the story, and I'm giving you the permission to cut it out.
Okay.
Because it's something long, but it's an interesting story.
Go ahead.
Basically, what happened was I finished college, and I was one of those guys who kept saying, I want to study in the US. I want to study in the US. And why? Because software and hardware was number one in the US, right? I'd say it still is number one in the US. So I kind of convinced like 30% of my class to go to the US.
Okay.
And I myself got an admission into a US university. I got my everything papers sorted out. I got my I-20, I got my visa, I booked my flight tickets, all done. To the extent that I just wrote my CET and Comet K, but I didn't really care because my primary was I'm going to the US. Now, everything is good. I take my flight. I reach Dubai. I decide to have a 3-day stopover in Dubai. Again, Dubai, everything comes here. Why? Because I wanted to spend some time with my cousins. My cousins have been here from the longest time. I just wanted to spend some time saying bye to them. I get a call at 6 a.m. from my mom. My mom is in tears. My mom is like, don't go. I'm missing you. I'm like, you could have said that before I left, but okay, I'll accept it. Then I told my mom, then my dad just picked up the phone and he said, no, beta, don't worry. I'll handle it. Your mom is just being emotional. I said, okay, it's fine. So I took a nap, got up a few hours later, just got some lunch. And we Indians, we love biryani. So I had biryani for lunch. I just opened it up. I was ready to enjoy my biryani. And I get a call from my dad, and my dad starts crying.
Oh.
And this is the first time I've heard my dad crying.
Okay.
He's done a lot of things. He hasn't cried. And he's like, beta, I miss you. I'm like, Dad, I've been preparing for this for 1.5 years.
Yes.
I got my visa. I got my tickets. We paid for the university.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
He's like, I'll buy you a Honda Accord. I'm like, I don't care.
Honda Accord.
I don't want a Honda.
That's the dream.
He's like, no, seriously, I'll buy you a Honda Accord. I'm like, no, I don't want a Honda Accord. And you have to understand, in India, it's a big deal.
Okay.
Here, it wasn't. In 2007, it was a big deal.
Oh, 2007.
So it's like, oh my God, you're getting an expensive car. And I'm like, Dad, I really don't care. And my dad's like, no, I want you to come back. I'm like, where am I going to study? What am I going to do? He's like, it doesn't matter. You got to come back. And I think, okay, let me think about it. And I get a call a few minutes later from Emirates. Oh, your ticket has been cancelled. I'm like, by who? By the person who paid for the ticket. I'm like, okay, this is a little bit of a shock. Then a few hours later, my dad calls up and he's like, okay, your uncle is going to come back home and he's going to sit with you and he's going to calm you down. I'm like, Dad, I want to go to the US. I don't want to get calmed down. Then my dad calls me half an hour later. He's like, I've got my visa arranged. I'm like, how did you get your visa in 2 hours? Because again, in 2007, getting a visa in 2 hours to Dubai was a little, I don't know how he did it. I still don't know. And he's like, I'm coming by tonight's flight. I'm like, okay.
Think the serious.
This is getting really quick.
Yeah.
And in the evening, I go to pick up my dad and I'm like, okay, Dad, what do you want me to do? He's like, listen, I thought about it. And I thought, I have 2 sons, so you'll go. And then I have my younger son. But I realized that I love you both. I'm like, that's very touching. So I don't want you to go. I'm like, forever? And he's like, no, it's a deal. just for engineering. Don't go for engineering. Masters, you can go. I said, okay, it's a deal. It's fair. So I decided to come back. Should I say I was forced to come back? Whatever it was.
Well, it seems like you were.
Yeah. Whatever it was, I came back.
But something positive came out of it. Right?
Exactly. The college I went to, RV College of Engineering, it's actually a really good university. I went there because it was one of the best universities in Karnataka. And since I really hadn't focused too much on the IITs and the NITs, it wasn't a seat that you'll get. And you know how the thing works in India, right? You really have to put a lot of energy.
I hear the tests are like super difficult.
Competitive.
And very competitive.
Getting like a 1000 rank in an IIT would not allow, I mean, you'd still not get computer science or electronics. It's quite tough to get it. So anyway, I managed to get the seat in RV and I was very happy about it. And I met my co-founder. My first startup that I did was with my co-founder, Anirudh. And Anirudh I actually met him in RV. He was in my class.
Okay.
So to be honest, it actually worked out really well because, so listen to your parents. Everybody listen to your parents.
Okay,
great. It worked out really well.
Amazing. So that's awesome. I mean, you came back to India. You started your computer engineering.
Electronics. I did electronics.
Electrical engineering.
Electronics.
Electronic engineering.
Electronics and communication. It's a mouthful, but it's very interesting.
So that includes software and hardware.
It is 80% hardware and 20% software. But the thing about software is you can pick it up by yourself if you're really dedicated.
Got it.
And since I have always been into coding, I decided that it's better for me to study electronics so I can understand the hardware side of things.
Okay.
So that when I'm actually coding, it's easier for me to relate to the hardware. That's the only reason.
Got it. And back then, what computer language were you training in or on software side?
So languages actually don't matter too much in computers. I know a lot of people make a lot of big deal about it, but in reality, the languages are fairly interoperable. If you understand the basic concepts, you can always program in whatever the languages you want to. So I started with C, C++ because at that time that was what you did.
Same.
C, C++, Java and stuff. And then I moved on to Python, Perl, and I did a lot of Objective-C because I was into iOS development. So we did a lot of Objective-C and
Right. Very nice. And
JavaScript.
Amazing. So from your college years and after college, I think you did a stint at another startup called what was it called? I don't know how to pronounce it. You tell me.
Dexetra.
Dexetra.
Right.
Okay. So what does that mean? Dexetra. Is it like etc. or what is it?
So you're asking a lot of interesting stories. So I'm going to keep telling you stories. And you have my permission to cut out whatever you like.
No, we're going to keep everything in.
Okay. As you like
I'm kidding.
it. As you like it. So basically what happened was we all finished college. We need to do placements.
Yes.
Right. And I got placed in a company which is a multinational. It was it was an amazing company. I'm not going to lie. The salary was amazing. The work was very good.
Yeah.
But it was very little.
Okay.
See, what you have to understand is that to a large extent, I really enjoyed learning and growing. And in a multinational company, there's basically a certain amount you can do, after which it's very difficult for them to assign you more work because according to them, you're being overloaded, which according to HR policy is wrong because you cannot overstress a person out, right? Even though I kept asking for more work, I just couldn't get more work. I kept finishing my work and I just didn't have anything to do. So I watched lots of TV shows. I watched lots of movies and I got bored.
Okay.
I'll be very honest, 2 months. So at this 2 months juncture, I decided that I need to, I mean, this is not for me. So I met these guys, Narayan Babu and his whole team. And I really liked them because they were building something which was crazy. They were building Siri for Android because what you have to realize is in that time, the only voice assistant was Siri. I mean, everybody thinks that Google would be the first one to do it, but for some reason, Apple launched Siri first. I don't know why. And these guys launched a product called Iris, which is the opposite of Siri. And Iris had a lot of traction. I can say that we had 1 million active users a day, which is truly insane. And they built this software in 10 days.
10 days.
I don't know how they did it. And when I met Narayan Babu, I told him that, this is crazy. What's your funding? and PTM's founder Vijay Shankar Sharma had done an angel with them, and he said that we've just got the angel, but we're confident that we'll close something with Sequoia. I said, okay, if you have the money, my salary was X. He said, I'll pay you X by 3. I said, done. I shook hands. I said, give me equity.
Okay.
They said, fine. We discussed some numbers and we decided that we want to get in. I
Okay.
want to get into the journey.
Okay.
And I entered the company and I was called a junior cloud architect. Narayan, I still remember that. Not okay with that. But
You didn't like the title.
I mean, junior cloud architect, I mean, you could just say cloud architect. Why junior?
Was there a senior already there?
No, that's
there
the
wasn't
point.
even a senior.
There wasn't a senior.
Okay.
So a
that's
junior
weird.
is quite
Yeah.
this thing, but it was fun. I mean, it doesn't matter. The good news was that I started work and I built a dashboard for them in basically a week, which they were very happy about. And within 6 months, I was promoted to the CTO of the company.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
going from a junior cloud architect to a CTO
That's crazy. That's amazing.
is quite fast.
How many people were in the team at the time?
So when I joined, there were 6, but by the time I was promoted to CTO, there were about 20 people.
Nice.
So
Okay.
we had a decent team size, and we had really good engineers, and we had very good product people. In fact, I actually learned how to do hiring in Dexetra
Oh, nice.
because one of the first assignments I got after programming was to actually build the team out.
Great.
Obviously, they helped me a lot. I didn't do this myself, but it was with them.
Right.
And they used to help me with the interviewing and everything. So we kind of built out the team together, and we got a lot of people onboarded. So we had about 22 people. By the way, the Sequoia round came through. We
Nice.
managed to get the funding in, and we grew exponentially. We really had some amazing time building the systems and stuff.
Right.
I was there for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then my co-founder and my friend Anirudh
Yes.
calls me up and he says, I'm ready to leave Nokia. He wasn't working in Nokia.
He was working in Nokia.
He said, I'm ready to
In
leave
2008.
2000.
So before they...
No, 2012. I started my engineering in 2007.
They existed in 2012.
They did. And the
Okay.
funny part is they actually had a suite of software called Nokia Live Tools,
Okay.
which was primarily on the older phones, like the dumb phones, what we call the dumb phones. And that was really big. So he was responsible for the software on that. I mean, he was not responsible. He was in the team that built that. But he did some really good stuff with billing, which kind of saved them like a lot of money. So he got promoted really, really quickly. And when he called me and he said, listen, I'm ready to quit Nokia, I went to Narayan Babu and I apologized to him. I said, listen, you've given me the maximum amount of opportunity, but it's just that we want to do something like this and it's fun. And, I want to move out. And he was very gracious. He accepted and, he spoke to me. He tried to explain to me that, it's better to work in a funded startup, which he was right about. But it's just that I wanted this journey and I didn't know how hard it was. But it was worth it. It was definitely worth it.
Good. Amazing. So you transitioned from college to multinational to startup, and now you're building your own startup. So what brought you to that point where you were like, okay, I want my own company? Was it something to do with just your passion that you liked it so much, or what made you shift from being an employee to a founder of a company? I think that's a really important question nowadays.
So I think I'd given a talk. Somebody had asked me, what are the benefits of doing a startup? And I decided to rename the talk to the benefits and the perils of doing a startup. And the conclusion of that presentation was basically that when you're your own boss or you're your own founder, you get a lot of benefit. You get the freedom to do what you want. You get to explore a lot of opportunities. You get to learn at an amazing scale. You get to grow as a personality where you get to inspire and you get to do a lot of these benefits. I mean, you get a lot of these advantages, but there are perils. And the biggest peril is it's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely challenging when you have to raise funding. You got to learn accounts, you got to learn finance, you got to do business, you got to do administration, as well as actually build the product or the company or whatever you're doing. And this was really challenging for me as a personality because I was good at coding, wasn't really good at all of these other things, right? So it was something that I had to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of questioned myself, why did I do this? And I came back to one principle. See, you get maximum joy when you have the ability to do what you want to do and you can make a difference and you can make an impact. The reality was that I couldn't make a difference and an impact in any of those environments. If you look at my journey, why I quit the MNC was, it's not because the MNC was bad. In fact, the MNC was good. I had so much salary coming in that I didn't know what to do with the money. It was not that. It was the problem was that I just couldn't learn fast enough. I couldn't grow fast enough. I couldn't create enough impact. Similarly, in Dexetra, I could create a lot of impact, but I was always constrained by the fact that I would have to tell someone, is this okay or not? And when I started my own company, I still had to answer those questions. But now the level of the ability to experiment was much higher, which means I could grow a lot more. And hence I could create a lot more impact. So I worked on projects where I could at least personally connect with impact. So being an entrepreneur to me was that journey. And I felt that it was something that I had to do. I don't know how to explain it. It just comes out. Couldn't really do anything about it.
No, that's a beautiful way to explain that, the thought process behind the change. And for you personally, I think it was not a leap of faith. It was more, this is who I am and I have to do it. Right. So I think that, when something like that is like inside your mind all the time, then you just have to act on it, otherwise it'll eat you away.
So my dad had a funny story. My dad was like, okay, so you get out of college, you get a job in an MNC, you throw it away in 2 months, then you get a job in Dexetra, you get peanuts. I couldn't even cover my fuel cost.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it was very far. The office was very far. So I couldn't cover my fuel cost. And then you get a really good salary because then when I was CTO, they obviously gave me a good raise and everything, right? And then you quit again and you join a startup and you have no money. And I was stupid enough to assume that my dad would fund my startup, which he outright refused. He said, Beta, I am a businessman. I don't believe in investing in loss. I don't care if you're my son.
Didn't you use the card that you're the one who brought me here?
He said, I'll buy you a car. No problem. If you want, I'll buy you a BMW.
Did you get the Honda?
No. He said, I'll give you a BMW.
Okay.
No, great, no problem. But I'm not funding your startup because I can't fund the loss.
The BMW and sold it.
I told him that. Yeah. I told him, I said, just think about it. If I buy the BMW and sell it, he said, no, that's not how it works because it's going to be on my name.
Oh, shit.
He's like, he's like, I'm your dad.
Tu mera beta hai.
Tu mera beta hai. Baap hota hai. I mean, my dad's very kind, by the way. He doesn't talk like that.
I know. He's an amazing guy.
He's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that was his implication. His implication was, I'm not funding your startup. So I went from essentially earning something to earning nothing. And then Anirudh and I realized that all the money we had saved in 1 year of work or 1.5 years of work, that's it. We don't have anything.
Right. Wow. Even Anirudh didn't.
No, because Anirudh's father did what my father did, which is you're all the owner.
Right.
All the best.
Amazing.
Both Anirudh's father and my father are businessmen.
Okay. Got it. Understood. So this startup, what was the concept behind it? Tell us more about that.
So the concept was we had 10 ideas that we wanted to work on. We, unfortunately, being engineers, we open up an Excel and we put the first column, which has the highest impact, which has the highest amount of probability of success, which has another column. We go ahead.
How do you figure out the probability of success?
So like one of the startups that we wanted to do was we wanted to build a bike startup, and Ather Energy, they started around our time. So kudos to those guys because according to us, the probability of success in that is extremely low because manufacturing at large scale was very high, especially around 2014, which is when you guys started. So the fact that you guys actually managed to go through, it's amazing. So that was one of the startups that we wanted to do because we really believed in that idea because principally
not e-bikes.
E-bikes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what.
Like Kareem bike here.
Yeah, and in India, the company is called Ather. So they're really, I mean, okay, Ola is ahead of them today, as far as I understand, by unit sales. But at one time, they were like the market leaders.
Okay.
And they started in 2014. And it was a very tough time because principally, the product makes sense. You have to move towards that. But doing manufacturing at large scale was very tough. But what we wanted to do was both very high. But the probability of success was extremely low. So we said, listen, I mean, it's a great idea, but we'll have to raise like $100 million within like 2 years. And that was right. And we weren't confident that we could raise that money.
Right.
So which is why we didn't want to do that.
Got it.
So that's how we kind of went around the ideas. And I'll also tell you one thing, Jay, you've got to fail fast. I also realized one thing, you've got to try a bunch of ideas because I think there's a Paul Graham essay which basically says that ideas come cheap, which is, I mean, it's fundamental, right? Like anybody can think of an idea.
Yeah.
So it's all about execution. So we tried a few ideas. We realized that our mind's not going through, it doesn't work. Oh, we tried crypto also, by the way.
At that time?
At that time, in 2004, we made money. We were very few people.
You bought Bitcoin in 2014?
No, we got Bitcoin for free.
Oh, really?
Bitcoin for free, yeah. So we used to run a mining startup. So essentially what you could do is you could, at that time, the mining was still happening with graphic processors, not like those.
Just the ones in your normal computer.
Yeah,
right?
But it was like you had to buy like these really high-end graphic processors. So Ani decided to fly to Hong Kong, buy some graphic processors. We set up a mini data center in our house, which was very surprising because one day we had an electricity bill of 2,000 rupees and the next day we had an electricity bill of 4 lakhs.
But you made the money back.
No. So it was way more profitable. So if we spent 4 lakh rupees on the electricity bill, revenue was at least 10x.
Wow.
It was a really good thing. So we got some Bitcoins and we made some money on Bitcoins, and it was a good learning experience. But we had to shut it down because India wasn't very clear with the RBI guidelines. And the one thing we wanted to do is we didn't want to go to jail. Clear. We're okay with anything, but we don't want to go to jail.
Right.
So
of course not.
We said that's like towing the line. So since the RBI guidelines were not very clear.
Was that another column in your Excel sheet?
Actually, no.
Probability of going to jail?
Actually, no, it should have been. But the funny thing is the startup we did start also had a lot of complications, but we did find out that later. But this was a good journey for us.
Okay, great. Amazing. So tell us now more about your startup and the name, of course. That's what people want to know, I'm sure.
Right.
If you search it on Google, you'll find it.
So it's called Myra Medicines. And the basic principle of the startup was that I actually was with my wife in a trip and I had to get some medicines because my wife fell sick initially. So I went and it was a bit of a pain, but I managed to go ahead, get her medicines and come back. And for whatever reason, she was prescribed the wrong medicines. In the sense, it was not completely wrong, but it was just that you had to get something else. But the thing is, after she fell sick, I fell sick. So the second time I had to go in the heat and I was sick. And it was not fun. I was really upset because it's like, okay, I'm going to go out in the heat. And the worst part is you don't go to one medical shop. Every time people think that you have to go to one medical shop, but typically, especially in India, you have to go to 2-3 medical shops before you get all the medicines. And I got really frustrated. I'm like, listen, I have to do all of this work in the sun. It's very frustrating. Why can't I just press a button and the medicines get delivered to me? So I spoke to Ani and I told Ani, hey, this is the situation. What do you feel? And Ani said, there's the same problem I feel because my grandmother, she also needs medicines on a regular basis. And every single time I have to go and buy the medicines. And every single time the pharmacy has something missing and I have to come back again. So it's such a pain. So I said, okay, then this makes a lot of sense. And what we used to do was, and I think this is a pro tip for people, is just ask people if your idea makes sense. And within a minute, you'll start getting good feedback. People will tell you, oh, this is stupid. Oh, this makes a lot of sense. How can you do it? Is this really even possible? Because what we wanted to do was any medicine, instantly best prices. So 30 minutes, pretty much any medicine under the best prices. And you have to understand that today you have all of these companies like Noon Minutes, and in India you have Swiggy, Instamart, and Zepto and stuff. But at that time you had none of this. So to actually do this in 2014 was considered
impossible
and crazy, right? But every person I spoke to gave me one feedback. If you can do this, I'm done. Like I will become your customer. So I thought, okay, this makes a lot of sense. We kind of did our math. We did a little bit of Excels and work out and stuff, which were all wrong.
Projections and
cash flow. And
So
we learned that, okay, this is a good idea. And I told my father-in-law what I'm going to do. And this is what the benefit of having a father-in-law is. Because 1 week later, my father-in-law calls me and says, you big bum, I married you my daughter. You said you're going to earn a salary. You're basically jobless. And you told me about the startup idea. And it's still not started. he didn't say it in this way, but this is what he meant.
Right.
He's like, you keep telling me you're doing something, and all I know is you're just sitting in your office and all you're doing is coding. Excel sheets and coding. When is your startup starting? And I was like, oh my God, what do I tell him? I'm like, we're launched. He's like, okay, I have medicines I require. Here's the list. How do I send it to you? I'm like, this is my number. WhatsApp it. We had a WhatsApp number for the company.
Great.
He said, done. Tuck. So you said 30 minutes. I'm like, yes, 30 minutes. I'm like, bye. I'm like, okay, guys, we have a first order. Let's just do this right now. So I go ahead, send the prescription we got a delivery boy. I said, tell him, run, go to the nearby pharmacy. He goes ahead, buys the medicines. All of this is illegal, by the way. You cannot do this. You're not allowed to go take a prescription from somebody else, go and buy it from another pharmacy and deliver it to somebody else. It's not allowed. But we weren't ready with setting up a pharmacy because pharmacy setting up in India is very complicated. You need to get a retail license, a wholesale license. It's a whole thing, right? But I need to protect my dignity and my honor, right? So I have to do something.
Yeah.
So I was like,
especially with the in-laws.
And guess what? In 27 minutes, we delivered the first order.
Oh, wow.
And my father-in-law called me up and he was like, dude, this works. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone. He's like, what? I already did. I'm like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, I just forwarded this to my groups. I'm like,
oh, wow.
Okay. So I just cut the phone and I look at my team and I'm like, okay, guys, we're going to probably get a few orders. We'll have to manage them. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, listen, he said it. I don't know. So we thought, okay, probably, these startups come up every day. It's not like people are waiting to place orders. So we waited for about 1 hour, 2 hour, no orders came. We said, everything's fine. We'll just continue coding and everything. The third hour, we get a call. And the person's like, hey, I got this number. Is this Myra Medicines? We're like, yes. She's like, I want this medicine. And guess what? This medicine is impossible. I already tried in 10 pharmacies. Okay. But you said 30 minutes and you said any medicine. Can you get it? Yes, we can.
Okay.
Are you sure? Yes, we can. We need this medicine. They're like, she tried in 10 pharmacies. How are you going to get it? We're like, I don't care. Open up Just Dial. In India, we use Just Dial and Google Maps. Like, just start calling every pharmacy. We just called every pharmacy in and around. We want this medicine and we managed to find it. Obviously, we called like 30, 40 places. We sent somebody, pick it up. We delivered in 22 minutes.
Wow.
And she picks up the phone and she's like, this is the best service. Everybody says they can get this, but nobody could get it. I'm like, thank you, ma'am. Please do review us on Google. And she's like, oh, welcome. By the way, who are you? I'm the CEO and co-founder. You're the CEO and co-founder? I'm like, yes. Anything support?
Customer service, of course. Everything. You have to do everything.
So it was an amazing start. And needless to say, we went from 1 order to 100 orders a day in 3 months.
Wow.
100 orders a day.
Wow.
So it was...
That's amazing. I mean,
it was fun.
You start with an idea, you created, you let's say molded the concept, you built the product, right? And the product was what? An application or a website or what was it?
So what we realized is that a lot of times the vision for the product and the in-between have to marry. And you can't always try to get everything right. And this is a very big learning that we had. So we wanted the application to be built, but the application takes time. So we just shortcut and we said the product is WhatsApp.
Okay.
Because it's the easiest. Everybody has access to WhatsApp. This is our phone number. Go ahead and take a picture of your prescription and send it to us. And I remember after our first VC funded us, his name is Tarun Davda and Avnish Bajaj from Matrix. Thanks, guys. They actually saw the graph and they saw 98% of our orders were through WhatsApp and call. And they told us, listen, Bhavish from Ola had the same problem with Ola initially. And he said, we're giving you 2 months. Move 98% to app. And we were like, what? And he's like, Bhavish did it in 1 month. You should be happy. We're giving you 2. I said, okay, well, challenge accepted. And yes, we did it in 2 months. So it's possible to get to your eventual vision, but don't stop launching just because you want the perfect product, because that's not going to happen.
Right. Amazing. Okay.
So it just was WhatsApp. Simple.
Okay, great. So you built the product as an app eventually, but you started with the simplest way to do it, because at the end of the day, you're solving a problem. What's the easiest way to solve it,
Yeah,
right?
and the same thing, right? What we told you is we wanted to build dark stores, which is essentially what everybody uses. Like all these companies like Noon Minutes, Swiggy, Instamart, Zepto, all of these guys now use dark stores. But at that time, it was not common. And we wanted to build a dark store. But setting up a dark store meant that I had to get a pharmacy license. I had to get a wholesale license. Uh, there were For getting a pharmacy license and a wholesale license, you need to hire pharmacists. It's a process, right?
Okay.
But I couldn't do that. So the easiest solution was that I would buy from the nearby pharmacy and sell it to you.
Great.
And eventually, about 2 months, we got the pharmacy set up, we got the application set up, we got our back-end system set up. So everything kept happening, but at the same time, we kept delivering orders.
Kept delivering, right.
And that's what matters, because the
Customer base.
care about the service and they care about getting a customer
Because
base.
even after you build all that out, the infrastructure, you're still providing the same service, essentially. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just that when the infrastructure is built, it will be more consistent. And how do you combat consistency initially is by you putting in your personal effort. And again, this is another very famous thing in the startup world, which is do things that don't scale. So I was basically doing things that don't scale without obviously realizing that that's what I was doing, but I was doing things that don't scale. That's it.
Okay, very good. Amazing. So you went from, let's say, a small team at Myra, and then you grew it up to how big?
700 people.
700 people. Wow.
Yeah, it was quite a journey. In 3 years.
Was there a difference between small team, big team? Like what are the differences between managing that kind of, and you were the CEO, so you were managing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, I lost the lottery. Both Anirudh and I wanted to be the CTO because the CEO has too much stress. But Ani won. So I was like, okay, fine. I'll be the CEO. I'd say it was really challenging because the first thing is what you're used to doing as a founder. If there's a problem, you analyze the problem, you find a bunch of solutions, you find the fastest solution, and you implement it. This is how a founder thinks. This is not how a CEO should think. Because if a CEO of a large organization starts solving every problem by their hand, it's not possible to scale the org. So learning how to build teams and learning how to get the desired results with the productivity of your team and keeping everybody aligned is really challenging, especially when you start having 700 people and stuff. It is quite challenging. But at the same time, what you don't want to do is you don't want to get so big that you can't manage your org. Your org loses the speed at which a young startup works. So for example, if you call a big organization and you decide that you want to add one feature on the app, they'll probably take like 3 months to do it. But as a startup, you can't do that. So startup, you have to keep that heart alive. So you have to be able to ship things fast. So you have to find that balance that you're not too big, that things just are too slow. At the same time, you're not too small where you're sitting and doing everything by yourself. And if a delivery boy doesn't turn up, you go and deliver medicines. You can do that when you're 10 people, but you can't do that when you're 700. So that was the biggest learning experience for me.
Wow, that must have, changed the way you think about life as well, right? Running a company, because
So
how did it change your perspective?
It backfires because you kind of start doing that with your family, and don't do that with your family.
You have to separate.
Exactly. Because what happens is, like, for example, somebody in your family will say something like, which restaurant should we go? And then you'll be like, this decision is not important. No. With your family, it is important.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that. It was a mistake that I made. And obviously.
Well, you learn, right?
You learn, yeah.
That's the whole point.
Because you start troubling them.
Great. So you grew Myra to a big enough company, and how many cities and how many dark stores were you in? Because I know you got acquired by a bigger startup. So I want to know how much you built it up to before you decided to sell it, and what made you want to do that in the first place?
So basically what happened was that we had 6 dark stores and we were in 2 cities, Bangalore and Bombay. And you have to understand that a place like Bangalore, it might sound small, but Bangalore has 20 million people. Wow. So when you have 20 million people, we were doing about 5,000 orders a day. So you can think about the kind of volumes. And in our in our peak hour, we were doing something like 1,500 orders in an hour. So we were processing really quickly. And I think we were getting the right kind of feedback from our customers, and we were getting very good traction from investors. The thing is that I made a mistake that I took a term sheet from a very well-known large company, but this large company had a history of having term sheets fall through. And this is one of those mistakes where you just have to learn. So they decided to value our company like 60-70 million dollars, and they gave us a term sheet which was to raise like another 15-20 million, and it was going to put us onto a trajectory where we probably would be the largest e-pharmacy player within a year. And it was everything was good, but one fine day they pulled the term sheet. Now this is
They just pulled it
they just pulled it, and this
without
is
any explanation.
without any explanation. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, they gave a very, very bad explanation, I would say, which was, our team in the US decided that we need to reconsider the space, and it was like, okay, dude, I don't know, whatever. People give up all these excuses, but whatever. This is what being a startup founder is. You're never going to have a day where things are just normal, and this is something you want to decide. If you're okay with having lots of variability in life, be a founder. But if you want like things to be consistent and you want to walk in and you have everything set up, it's really not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I had two options. One option, declare bankruptcy and go my own way. The second option was to fight, and was to actually make this company survive and make sure that we somehow manage to get this startup somewhere, right? Either we sell or we raise another round, and make sure that our investors get a decent return, make sure that our employees get placed and get an opportunity to work on something even more exciting, and also make sure that we get some decent return. And I was very frustrated. So one day, I just decided that I want to shut it down because I couldn't take the stress anymore. I'll explain to you why. Basically, we had a net debt of $3 million. And we were burning $500,000 a month.
Wow.
$500,000. And you have to understand, you're burning $500,000. You have 700 families you're supporting.
Yes.
And you have $3 million of debt. And this $3 million of debt is on your head. Nobody else is going to.
You're paying interest on that every month, or what?
I mean, interest was another picture altogether.
Okay.
It's just the fact that what are you going to do with $3 million debt? How are you going to pay it back? So these two options came up in my head, and I basically called up one of my advisors, and I basically spoke to him, and I told him, this is the situation, and I just want to walk away. I want to write a mail to my investors, and I want to write a mail to the team, and I just want to walk away. And he said, listen, Faizan, you have the opportunity to do that. It's fine. I actually asked him a very dumb question, which is that if I go to jail, will you help me? And he was like, don't worry, we'll get you a VIP cell. It's not expensive. So I said, okay, well, that's good. At least I know that I have a VIP cell, because I don't know how long I'm going to be in jail. So he said, no problem. And you have to understand that there was a company just before us. We had very similar situation. It was called Stazilla, and they kind of went bust because of something like this. And in their situation, the founder did go to jail. So I wasn't being hyperbole. Like I was trying to exaggerate. I was genuinely scared that Anirudh and I would be spending some time in jail, whether it was 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. And this breaks our first rule. We don't want to go to jail, but long behold, this is where we are. We're sitting, and I told Ani, I'm like, listen, if you go to jail, it's fine, because we anyway need some time for the next startup. So we can discuss.
But you both have to go then.
No, we'll definitely both go, because both are founders, right?
Okay.
And both of us are in India. The way is that as long as we're both directors, we're both going to go to jail.
Wow.
So I said, it's good. We get 6 months, probably have some
Downtime.
downtime. And he's like, no, but I'm not going to tell my family. I'm like, listen, I don't know about family, but we got to do this. We have no other option.
Right.
So I called up my cousin, and he was like, listen, don't worry. I'll make sure that you'll be fine. Like, I mean, that was the case. But he asked me a very important question. He said, what do you want to think of one day when you get up, say 6 months from now, 1 year from now, that you worked incredibly hard, build this thing up, and you fail? Like, is this something that's there? And also see, as a Muslim, it's another part of my life, is that dying on debt is a very big deal. So you see, you understand, right? Like as a company, if you go bankrupt, you have liability that you have washed off from the world, but technically you still owed people money.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to die on debt. I was extremely clear. There is no way that I want to die on debt. I don't want a single person to feel that I made a commitment to pay someone and I didn't pay it, because I have to be answerable to that. And that was something that was extremely clear for me. So these aspects just made me think, okay, I have to do something about this. There is really no option. So what I did is, I first prayed to God, which is most important. I first prayed to God. And the second thing I did was, I called up a very good friend of mine. His name is Shiv. Hi, Shiv, from Indigo Edge. He was basically an investment banker. And I told Shiv, I said, Shiv, you need to close a sale in 24 days, because I had money for 24 days.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Shiv was like, Faizan, it takes 6 months.
Yeah.
I said, I have 24 days.
Right.
What do you want me to do?
Uh-huh.
And he said, okay, this is impossible. The only opportunity we have for 24 days is buy me 1 more month.
Okay.
So 60 days. And we had 4 strong leads in the last time. We will reach out to all 4 of them and we'll get you something. It might be a nothing, which means they'll only cover your debt.
Okay.
They'll not do anything else. But are you okay with that? I said, I'm fine with that. It's okay. Anything is fine.
Right.
None of the people who were actually doing the acquisition knew this, by the way. They actually thought that we have a lot of offers and they were negotiating and stuff. But in our heads, there was just these 4 people, right?
Right.
So everything was going very scary. And Shiv asked me to get 30 days. Now, how do I get 30 days? So what I did is I got my core team out. And my core team really pushed, really pushed. I don't have words for them. Obviously Ani was there. Then there was Arshad, and then there was Kshitij, and there was Edwin, and there was Rishi, and then I think there was one more person. I'm sorry, but I'm not able to remember the names. It's just this thing. No, and it was Swati. Sorry, I forgot Swati Singh. So all 6, I just got them into a room and I basically said, guys, we don't have money. We're in a situation where we're going to go bankrupt in 24 days. And Shiv has committed me that he will do something and get me a term sheet within 60 days. So we have to stay afloat for 60 days. What do we do? So the first thing that they did was, which was really, really nice, is they just said, we don't want our salaries. And we're like, okay, great. That's not going to help because we have other salaries to pay.
Yes.
So that's when an idea came up that we're going to literally speak to everybody in the company and tell them that we cannot pay you salaries for the next 3 months.
Okay.
And you have to understand, if people quit, our company cannot sell.
Yeah.
Because people acquire companies at this stage with the talent. You can't have that. And I really thought that this was a disastrous move.
Right.
And I really sat down with the team and I'm like, guys, people are going to work in an organization that's not paying them. And they said, yes. Okay, great. Game on. Let's try this. We spoke to 60 of our highest paid employees. 59 stayed back without salary. Only 1 person had to quit, but they had a genuine financial constraint. They just couldn't work without that.
Right.
But the rest 59 stayed back.
Kudos to them, huh?
Kudos to them, man. I mean, thanks guys. It was a really difficult moment. Now, when people are staying back without salaries, that allowed us maybe a few more days, maybe 15, 20 days more, but not enough to actually close the transaction. So we had to come up with an idea. Now, see, the thing is, in the business we're in, we're buying from distributors and we're selling to customers. Customers pay us on day 1. Distributors get a credit of 30 days, 40 days, whatever. The other option was to increase the credit. I'm telling you a few secrets, but basically what happened was we needed more credit. Now, a distributor in this stage is not going to give you more credit. So what do? Usually you can find the same medicines in 3 to 4 distributors. So you got to have shuffle around. But sometimes distributors get really angry and they come to your office and they start screaming and they throw things and they break your office and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because obviously it's a large amount of money, right?
Yeah.
So we worried about that. So what we did was we rented another office.
Okay.
We told them that we're expanding,
Oh, right.
which was in a way true. And we got our head of distributor management, which was Ashutosh, to sit there every other day.
Oh, I get what you did.
Pacify the distributors.
All right.
Except for one guy who would spend every Sunday with me for 4 hours so that I could comfort him that his money's coming.
Okay.
Every Sunday. I
Wow.
would spend 4 hours having breakfast with him
Wow. Okay.
just to pacify that his money's coming.
Uh-huh.
And by the way, I want to be clear. The intention was to pay everyone.
Of course.
We didn't want to default even a single person. But for us to hit that intention, we needed that time.
Yes.
And without that, we couldn't do it. So combination of all of this finally bought us about 4 months. So we
Wow.
went from 24 days to 4
4
months.
months. Amazing.
This was
Creative financial management, right? there.
creation financial. You learned financial management at that stage really well.
Okay.
So because we had 4 months, the first thing was Shiv was a little relaxed because now he could pitch to people with a little bit less stress. I was relaxed because my pitches were a little bit more, okay, we're not dying tomorrow, which really important because of the psychological mind state you are. And guess what? Out of the 4,
All
all
four.
4.
Middle. Wow.
All 4. And the best offer for the team was made by company A, and the best offer for the rest, including investors, was made by company B.
So which one did you end up?
So I had a word with my board. I gave them both the scenarios. The only advantage with company A was that the company was giving an all cash deal. So I said, listen, if you get company A, I know the return isn't as good, but you get an all cash deal. But company B is giving you stock. What do you
Only
prefer?
stock only.
Only stock. No, but they were giving cash, but the cash was not to the investors. The cash was to
Pay off the
different-
debt and
there were certain things, right? But obviously company B was paying a good price. So the investors eventually voted that we want to go with company B. So what we did is we spoke to the team and we told the team that, listen, in order to make things work, we had a certain share of money that was coming as founders. If we cut out a small percentage and we gave that money to the team, then the team would make a decent amount of money also. So we just did that. So that way, we kind of compensated the team. We earned a little less, but that's fine. And the investors were happy. So we
Right.
thought, okay, everything works out. And we did the deal.
Amazing.
And it was a very, very tough deal, but it took 6 months to conclude.
Really?
Yeah, but the first condition that we had with them was that as soon as we sign, you got to close the debt. You got to close everything.
Okay.
And they agreed. So they closed the debt. And they
6
continued.
months to do the due diligence.
The good news was because we had done the MNC in the past, they had already done the due diligence.
Okay,
So we
great.
just had the same due diligence report. The company was KPMG, so obviously KPMG's
course.
report is
Yeah.
really good.
Great.
And KPMG gave us one of the best reports. They give us audited financials which are signed by them.
Amazing.
And if you get audited financials which are signed by them, that's
Okay.
like 10 on 10.
I mean, look, journey must have taught you so much. And of course, that showed you this is the business world now. You must have told your dad, okay, I've learned, I know what you meant. But
So
a lot of lessons.
my dad had one of those really good things. He had a lot of positive feelings, but he just couldn't see me lose so much sleep. In fact, it was so odd. I think he started sleeping less because of me, because it's just the amount of stress that he saw me in. But I really think it was a really good life journey because it teaches you so much. It really helps you stay calm in a lot of situations. And to be honest, I don't think I'm at the best even at that today. But at that time, it really, really was like you could throw a knife at me and I wouldn't react.
Wow.
I'd just be like, okay, it's a knife. Big deal. All you have to do is go to the ER. That's it.
Great. I mean, if you can handle that much stress, you can pretty much do anything in life.
Yeah, but
right?
unfortunately, I regressed a little, but I'll get there. I'll get there.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Great. So you got acquired. Your company got acquired. Took 6 months. You got your stock plus some
We
cash.
got stock, we got cash. The founders were happy. The investors were happy. Everyone was this thing. The team was happy. Everybody got placed. Everybody got good offers, and everybody got good hikes. Because one of the things is because our team was really, really out there. They really did a lot of work. They got very good hikes. They got good jobs, and overall
Amazing. Everybody won.
everybody won. And we were really happy that I don't have to come out and say that I worked really hard, I tried very hard, and but because of the world and because of every bad thing, I failed. Now I can say, you know what, things worked well,
Yeah.
great. When things got tough, we pushed through, and guess what? Obviously, everything comes from God. So first, we have to say that, and things then eventually happened the right way.
Amazing. So you took a long vacation after you got acquired, or no?
So no.
What happened after that?
So quickly after we finished the startup, basically I had a word with my father, and my father's been in business for a very long time, but he had turned 60, and when he turned 60, it came to us as a realization that there's really nobody to take care of my father's business. And my father's in real estate, and one thing you have to understand about real estate, especially in a place like India, is if you disconnect from the business, you can lose like 50 to 80% of your assets very quickly. There's a lot of stuff that goes on there, which obviously is a little tough to explain, but there's a lot of things that happen. Just to tell you, we have one litigation going on since 1983, and
Wow.
the Supreme Court has awarded us the victory. But guess what? The cops are scared to give us possession of the property because the guy is threatening the cops. So
Amazing.
no,
Not amazing.
but we'll get that. We'll get there. I mean, we know that.
Yes.
See, the thing is, eventually we know that. But the point I'm trying to say is, it's not easy to let it go. So you have to kind of be involved. So me and my dad discussed, and we said, listen, my brother's a surgeon. I'm doing some startup stuff. Who's really going to take care of the business? And that's when we kind of realized that it makes sense for us to work together as a family, and that can kind of help get exponential growth for us. And this, I think, was a good idea. The part that's tough is working with your dad is not the easiest. Again, my dad's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to be clear.
Yes.
My dad's someone who encourages, supports, does all his best. But you have to understand, a person who's been doing business for 40 years, if you come who's done business for 5 years, he's not necessarily going to understand your ideas. I mean, not understand, he's not going to probably appreciate some of the ideas. And my ideas were quite drastic.
Right.
Let's go to Dubai. Let's start a new development business there.
Yeah.
We'll somehow manage to sell assets worth millions of dollars and create systems of sending money abroad, all legally with LRS and everything. And to him, that sounds like you must be crazy.
Right.
So obviously, it is something that's very difficult because there's a certain way that he thinks and a certain way that I think. So I think the first few months was very, very challenging because we just kind of talked through different routes. But as we started learning each other's behaviors and we started adjusting on how to talk to each other, it started becoming a little better. So we visited Dubai 3 times, and I kind of got really excited about this
And
place.
when was this?
So this was during COVID. So, and that was really good because you see, COVID, everything was shut down. So the fact that I could come here and things were like more or less normal, I could actually go to Dubai Mall, it just gave me a lot of confidence. And I loved how fast things were getting back on track here. It was like, okay, we had a setback, but it's fine and we'll recover. And that was just energy for me. And at that time, I got a lot of support again from Arshad, who was one of the teammates in Myra, my brother Ahmad, and my cousin Shoaib. The 3 really, really helped out. And especially at one point of time, I remember, thank you, Shoaib, he had to stay here for 2 months because we were doing a deal. And unfortunately, he's the only one who had a resident visa, and we hadn't got a resident visa yet. So he made lemonade out of lemons, and he decided to stay here for 2 months to get the deal done through.
Okay, great.
But it was very helpful. So we basically decided that what we're going to do in India is we're going to grow our business which relates to plotting and continue that business and start a development business here, which is all about building houses and places where you are going to call home, basically.
Got it.
And that's what we wanted to do.
Amazing. So I think that's when you started your development company, Mirfa.
Correct.
Right? And what was the first thing that you developed?
The first thing we decided was that we wanted to test the waters because a lot of times people tell you a lot of things, but it's not true.
Yeah.
You understand, right? Again, going back from my Myra example, right? You can't really say, I want a perfect system. So I didn't want to wait for a perfect system. What I did is I acquired a land in Furjan.
For John, okay.
It was a small piece of land. It was just about 13,000 square feet. We could build 5 townhouses, and we just started. And what we did was we wanted to make sure the design was good. So we put a lot of personal attention and care. My brother's wife happens to be an architect. So because she's an architect, she used her skills and actually spent a little time of revamping that.
Amazing.
We also had a good consultant and architect also. But I'm just saying that the whole thing worked together. And
Everybody pitched in.
everybody pitched in, and we built these houses, and we were really surprised with the result. Because first thing, the construction timeline is really fast in Dubai. We managed to finish all the houses in 11 months.
Wow. Including the design period.
Everything, everything. And
Amazing.
it's quite tough to do that, right? It's
Yes.
just something that we were happy about. Sorry, it was after the approval. I mean to say after the approval, 11 months. But
okay.
you have to understand that for us to do something like that, 11 months, when we're coming from a new country, we have zero contacts. We're literally learning how to get a contractor onboarded, subcontractors, all of this stuff. It was quite a challenging time. But the project got done, and we made a decent amount of profit. But we sold out all the houses, 5 houses, in 15 days.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
which was good for
Amazing.
us.
Tells you how good the market was.
Tells you how good the market was.
Yeah.
Because in India, even if you had the right product, it would just take some time. It's not that it's not
that
going to
fast moving.
It's not that fast. Because, people take longer for getting approvals, bank, this, that, what. But here, everything's quick.
Yes.
Just done. And even though some of them were mortgage buyers,
Yes.
they got the approvals. They came with pre-approvals.
Pre-approvals and within a day now.
So
in Dubai,
it moved really fast. That's when we decided we wanted to grow this.
You did your first development, you sold, you made a good tidy profit. That kind of was a proof of concept, right, for your development model. And then you're like, okay, now we have to make serious money. So let's get into the big boys. Let's become a big boy ourselves.
Yes.
So how did you do that?
So we kind of were browsing the web. Actually, no, we're not browsing the web. There was a broker. He kept calling. Okay. And the problem is that sometimes people get onto your nerves. Like, you know how it is, right? A lot of people want to just sell. So this guy just kept calling me and calling me and calling me, and he's not giving me any details. He's like, I'm not telling you about this property. I'm not telling you anything. And he's like, but you need to buy this. I'm like, listen, dude, I don't know who you are. You're asking me to buy a property worth 12.5 million dirhams. You're not telling me any details about the property. And all you're telling me is you want to meet me, you want to meet me, you want to meet me. I'm like, listen, dude, it's just not possible. Like, give me something or I'm not interested in this. So I cut the phone. So he decides to call Arshad. Okay. So Arshad is like, okay, what do you want? And he's like, I'm telling you, just tell Faizan, let me meet him now. I'm like, okay, where? He said, I'll come wherever you are. So I said, okay, we're in Pullman Hotel. Come. I said, I'm there in 10 minutes. 10 minutes, the guy shows up. I'm like, what is it? He's like, listen, this property is an auction. I'm like, great. When is the auction? He's like, it starts at 4 o'clock today. I'm like, okay. How much money do we need? We've never done Emirates auction, by the way.
Okay.
He's like, you need 20% of the money to be deposited in Emirates auction by 4 o'clock and your account to be started by 4 o'clock.
Okay.
I'm like, it's 1. And the bank closes at 2.
And what was the property, by the way?
It was our Ashton Park townhouses. The townhouses property.
Okay.
In JVC.
Okay.
So I'm like, it's 1. The blank closes at 2. We want to go to Emirates auction. We've not seen the property. And he's like, trust me, this is an amazing property. You're going to love it. So I pick up the phone. I call up my brother. I'm like, hey guys, where are you? And my brother and Shuaib, they were like, we are right next to the property. We'll go there right now. I said, fine. They call us back in 5 minutes. We're just sitting there having coffee, 5 or 7 minutes. And they're like, it's an amazing property. Let's just buy it.
Yeah. Empty plot of land, right?
Empty plot of land.
Okay.
And we're like, okay, so we need to buy this property and we need to deposit 2.8 million or whatever the number was in the next 2 hours. How do we do this?
Okay.
So my brother calls up the RM and he tells the RM, I need a manager's check for 2.8 million. And the RM's like, no, you got to submit this. He's like, listen, every document you need will be available tomorrow morning. I need this right now. The guy was like, okay, sir, it'll be ready in this office at 3 p.m.
Okay.
And my brother's like, done. So he goes one side, picks up the manager's check. Arshad leaves where we are sitting, goes to Emirates Auctions office, submits all our paperwork so that we can actually buy the property and create an account. We've not created an account. So in an hour, the account gets created
Yes.
And in our 15 minutes, the manager's check comes and we give it.
Okay.
And done. And they're like, okay, so now what do you do? Like, now you got a bid.
Uh-huh.
Okay. We had 178 bids for this property. 178 bids.
Okay.
And the price just kept going up and up and up. It
Wait, what?
started at 8 million. I don't
Okay.
understand why it started at 8 million.
Okay.
It was really not worth 8 million. It was definitely worth more than that.
Yeah.
So we had a conversation. The team, quick call. Hey guys, what do you think is the maximum value? Back and forth. So the maximum value is 11.6 or 11.7. That was our maximum value.
Okay.
So we said, fine, all done. Cut the phone. And it's going up and up and up and up and up. And it's like 11, 10, 10, 10, 15 or something like that. And it's just like going up. And my brother is like, bro, it's already 11. I don't know what to do. I'm like, Ahmad, the rule is clear.
Yeah.
You said 11.6, gonna bid to 11.6. And then he picks up the phone and calls me. And we live in the same building.
Okay.
And he's like, bro, you got to come up here. The amount went from 11 to 11.3 in 6 seconds.
Okay.
He's like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, Ahmad, just be calm. We decided, increase it by the minimum, which is 5,000 dirhams, and don't worry. He's like, no, I also want to do 100K. I'm like, no, it's not the rule. Just do 5,000.
You kind of get excited, huh?
Yeah,
when you're in a
because
bidding
he's like,
war.
it's like, oh, it's going up. And I'm like, calm down.
Yeah.
11.3. I'm coming up right now. I go into the lift and I'm like, cut the phone and I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? What's happening? And you have to understand this Emirates auction thing is 12 seconds. You know that, right? Like it's 12 seconds or something like that. It's an absurd amount of time. So I go up the lift and I reach there. As soon as I reach there, he's like, it's done. It's done. I'm like, what's done? He's like, we won. I'm like, dude. He's like, that's it. We got it at 11.35 or something.
Okay, nice.
I'm like, amazing, great. Yeah. So by the way, now that we've paid 2 point something million, where's the rest of the money?
Did you have it in your bank?
We didn't have it.
Oh, you didn't have it in your bank. Wow.
And it turns out that he got to pay the money in Emirates auction in 7 days.
Oh, great. What a
now
predicament.
you need to understand, playing close to the edge is kind of our thing
I
at
know.
this point.
I already know that. Trust me.
So we're like, okay, good. What do we do? So we have a partner, and my partner's name is Danish. Danish is a really good friend of mine. So we discussed this with him. Everything was clear, and it was clear that he's going to put the money in and stuff, and we know that it's going to happen, right? But we didn't have this money right now. We needed this money. So I called up Danish and I'm like, hey, guy, hey, we need this money. And we need this money by Friday. And today is like a Monday. And Danish is like, dude, the money has to come from the US.
Right.
I'm like,
so?
We don't have any other option. He's like, okay, what if we don't get the money? I'm like, 20% of the money is gone. He's like, okay, this is bad.
Yeah.
So finally, at somewhere around Monday or Tuesday, early morning around 2 a.m., he calls me and he's like, it's arranged. It's coming from the US. It's going to hit the bank on Wednesday or Thursday, and I'm going to transfer the money to you. Said, great, awesome, done. Everything happens. Guess what? This is one part which I do not like. In Dubai, you cannot transfer money from one account to another account without documentation. They want to make documentation. And if the amount is 10 million or 11 million, they're not going to transfer it. They're just going to be like, what do you want and stuff. So we're like, dude, you have to help us transfer this. So on Thursday, we're talking to the bank, everything. They're like, no. Why is he giving the money? I'm like, okay, it's a loan. It's like, how is he giving you a loan? He's my friend from childhood. Oh, what loan agreement? I'm like, we don't have a loan agreement. I told him I need a loan. That's it. They're like, no, you need to give us a loan agreement. So it's like, okay, fine. We make a loan agreement. We made a loan agreement. We sent to them everything. Signed. They're like, finally, okay, approved. Tomorrow morning, the money will come. Great, no problem. Anyway, we have to make the payment on Friday. Now, what happened is my dad panicked because my dad is not used to playing it this close to the edge. Like, he's someone who likes to plan ahead of time, which is good. But we kind of didn't do that. So Friday morning, he calls my brother. It's coming into my brother's account. So he called my brother and he's like, did the money come? I was like, no. Calls him after half an hour. Like, did the money come? He's like, no. Then 1 hour later, he's like, did the money come? And my brother's like, I'm done. I'm switching on my phone. I'm really tired. I don't want any of this nonsense. That's it. Shuts the phone down.
Okay. Oh no,
Oh.
that made it worse.
I don't know what's happening. So my father's spoken to my brother. I have no idea. Then I got a call from Arshad. Arshad is like, the bank guy just called me. They need an approval from Ahmed that Ahmed is getting this loan amount,
Mhm.
but his phone is off.
Mm.
I'm like, okay. So I called him again. His phone was off. So I'm like, all right, go to the elevator.
Oh, he
Run.
was in the same building.
Same building.
Okay,
I'm
great.
running to his apartment. I'm
Yeah.
like, I called up his wife and I'm like, listen, I wake up Ahmad right now. I need to speak to him. She's like, he has made it extremely clear nobody should wake him up right now. And I'm like,
wow.
okay, so there's no option. I
Wow.
have to. So I
It's
go.
10 million. Come on.
What do we do? No, but he doesn't know, right?
Oh, he
Because
doesn't know.
he doesn't know that the approval is suspending because he thought everything was done.
Okay,
But he just kept getting every 30
Harassed, yeah.
minutes, like, he's like, why are you calling me every 30 minutes? The money will come. I mean,
So you went upstairs, woke him up.
I rang the bell. And then it's like, okay, I was really scared. I'll be
Yeah, yeah.
honest with you. I was really scared ring the bell because I didn't know how he was going to react.
Uh-huh.
So I rang the bell. He opens the door. He's like, what do you want? I'm like,
Uh-huh.
bro, really sorry, but you got to unlock your phone. You just have to open it. He's like, why? I'm like, you're going to get a call. Okay, unlock the phone. Soon as he unlocks the phone, the call from the bank.
Yeah.
He's like, we're trying to reach you. This 10 million, is this yours? He's like, yes. Approved. Done.
Okay.
1 minute later, message, 10 million approved. I'm like, done.
Wow.
Run, get the manager's check done, deposit in Emirates auction.
Okay.
That was essentially how our first deal started.
Plot. Yeah. Great. So you bought that plot, and I know you bought the plot next to it for
Yes.
the ground plus 4 building, and you
That's also
started.
a story for another time.
Yeah,
But yes.
we'll talk about that later. But
Yeah.
this was your first project, basically, as an off-plan developer.
Yes.
Ashton Park.
99 apartments, 12 townhouses.
Amazing. And the response was great, as I remember.
We called one broker for feedback.
Mhm.
He met us. Thanks, Roshan.
Mhm.
He said, I love the project. I believe in the project. I want to buy an apartment.
Mhm.
We said, fine. Next day, we had 5 people
Mhm.
selling 10 apartments.
Mhm.
The next day, we had 10 people selling 20 apartments.
Mhm.
By the end of the week, in literally 9 days, we sold out all 99 apartments.
Wow. How was that possible?
I actually have no idea. To
Right.
be honest, I think the product was good.
Okay.
I think we had a good payment plan. I think we checked a lot of boxes, but I have absolutely no idea how in 9 days,
Yeah.
99 apartments get sold out. And, we say Alhamdulillah.
What
That's
was
it.
your payment plan, if you don't mind, if you remember?
So we did like a 55-45,
Mhm.
55% during construction and 45 post handover.
Mhm.
But I think what we did was we created this flexibility where we gave a 3, 5, and 8 year payment plan. So you could decide exactly how much post handover you wanted. We weren't cheap, but the thing was, you got a bang for your buck. First of all, the product was, you've seen it, right? Like people really like the
Yeah, the
product.
quality is amazing. Yes.
The quality is good, very good, modern, contemporary design. People really like that. It was coming fully furnished. So a lot of people don't like the hassle of furnishing the apartment. And we had a lot of smart stuff, smart curtains, smart door locks, smart everything. So they really liked overall that thing. Plus, I think we were extremely transparent with the brokers. A lot of people, they do this thing where they come and say we're sold out and they block units and stuff. We don't do any of that. If a unit is available, it's available. And if it's not available, it's not available. So the transparency gave us a lot of goodwill because the brokers, and a lot of the times people don't realize, but the brokers have a lot of the insight into the customer. So people think that it's a very transactional relationship, but we don't believe it's transactional. It is a relationship. And because it's a relationship, we were very transparent with them and they appreciated that. And I think that kind of
Yes.
honesty,
Mm.
I think that gave them that ability
Confidence
to,
as
yeah.
well.
So they could pitch to their client and said, yes, this unit is gone means it's gone. It's not that it's gone because 3 days later it's going to be like
under
cancelled.
cancellation. Yeah.
Yeah. So that really
Great.
helps.
Amazing. And did you sell in tranches or did you sell just all of them at once?
Honestly, we didn't have the time.
You didn't have the time.
Honestly, we literally finished the payment plan the same morning and we were planning to do the launch a month and a half later.
Okay.
Our brochure was not ready.
Mm-hmm.
Our presentation was not ready.
Mm-hmm.
Our architectural mock-up was not ready.
Right.
Our office was not ready.
Right.
I remember one of my customers, his name was Arun. Hey Arun, shout out to you. He called me up and he said, "You just sold a full building and townhouses worth hundreds of millions, and you're telling me that you don't have a brochure."
Yeah. That's insane. That is it still doesn't make sense to me.
I said, "Arun, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
You want me to lie? I don't have a brochure.
Right.
It's on its way, but I don't have it right now."
Good.
So
So what a success, right? First week and you're sold out, and now you're under constructions. How much is completed so far?
So that's one more thing, right? We told people that the day our escrow opens, we will start construction. Nobody believed us. Guess what? Our escrow opened on Jan 3rd. We got a building permit around Jan 5th. We started construction on Jan 5th. The townhouses, the full structure is complete.
Mm-hmm.
The finishing has started. The elevators have been delivered.
Mm-hmm.
The MEP has more or less completed. The tile laying has started,
Yeah.
which means that we're on track to deliver the house by December, max Jan.
Right.
And again, nobody expected us to do that.
Yeah.
But we were very clear that timelines were very important for us. Similarly to the building, we finished the basement, the ground floor, the first floor, the second floor, and we've already finished the third floor slab work, which means that the slab should get laid in the next 7 to 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
So we're moving very, very quickly. We plan to hopefully hand over the building by Q2 of next year.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I'd love to have a look at your townhouses when they're completed, and because that will give the confidence to the investors for the next project. So from Ashton Park, which became Ashton Park 1,
Yeah.
right? Then you launched Ashton Park 2 in the same area, JVC, Jumeirah Village Circle. And the same story?
That's thanks to you.
Yeah.
The basic story is our partner Shehzad Bhai, he is very, very clear that he will not do a bad project.
Mm-hmm.
He is someone who is extremely picky and really helps us get to the next level. So he was like, "Listen, I don't care. I'm not going to get influenced. I want a good plot that looks awesome and that gives that vibe of Ashton Park."
Mm.
And you know what? We had 10 or 15 brokers send him 30 to 40 plots. He rejected all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, "Dude, you got to accept something." He's like, "Nah, this has this issue, this has this issue, this has this issue."
Mm-hmm.
Then comes this guy, his name is Jay. He calls me up and he's like, "I have a plot for you." I'm like, "Listen, I'm not in charge of plots. Let's just create a group. Shehzad Bhai, you, me, put whoever you want. Let's see." And you send a message. The first plot, nice. Then you send the second plot.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 minutes later, Shehzad Bhai calls me. He's like, "I want to visit this."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Go, you always go yourself. Like,
Yeah.
this thing, why are you calling me?"
Yeah.
He's like, "No, I have a feeling."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, feeling, let's go. Feeling from Google Maps.
Right.
I reached there. He looks at the plot. He's like, "Let's close this."
Mm.
Like, "Are you sure?"
Mhm.
He's like, "I've decided. Let's close this." I'm like, "How much is this plot?" He's like, 37 million. I'm like, "Shehzad Bhai, we just bought a plot for 12 million.
Yeah.
This is 37 million.
Right.
The project value is 200 million.
Uh-huh.
Like, does this make sense?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Faizan, the money will come.
Uh-huh.
Don't worry." And he has this famous saying, "Trust Allah, trust Allah." He always says that. He's like, "Trust Allah." I'm
Very
like,
good.
"It's 37 million.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, "Listen, I know we're growing fast, but it's 37 million. He's like, "Just relax.
Yeah.
It'll happen." So we go back to the office. My father's sitting there. My father's like, "What did you do?"
Uh-huh.
Like, "We looked at this plot. Like, how much does this cost?" Like, 37 million. "Are you guys crazy? Are you stupid?" Shehzad Bhai is like, "Uncle, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Don't worry." And then my dad saw the plot and he's like, "This is it.
Okay.
Go ahead." It
There you go.
has all the vibes. It's next to an Ellington property, and Ellington does some really good design.
Yeah.
So we were like, next to Ellington, beautiful property, overlooking 2 parks.
Mm-hmm.
And we called you and we're like, "Done. Go ahead."
Yeah.
And
Then
that's it.
we did it. Yeah.
We did it.
That deal.
4
Fast
days.
deal.
4
4 days. Yeah. 4 days. And difficult transfer, but I think it worked out in the end for everybody.
No, but transfers are always difficult.
Yeah.
I've noticed one thing, that transfers, because everything aligning kind of
Yes.
takes
It
its
does.
time.
It does.
But the deal was, in my opinion, very reasonable. Even the seller, he was very firm. He charged us a bomb, but at least there was no like unnecessarily haggling and the whole, because that's what really spoils the deal. It was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, this is what I want." I'm like, "This is what we can
Yeah.
pay," and he just like put his hand out and he's like, "Let's just shake halfway."
There you go.
We did
That's
it.
how deals happen,
I think it
sometimes.
literally lasted 10 minutes, right?
10 minutes.
Yeah, 10
and
minutes.
We were sitting in his office, in his partner's office. It was nice. It was nice.
It was nice.
Nice conversation.
I think the overall conversation was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, we had a little bit of difficulty with the transfer,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's life. Right?
That's
You
life.
gotta
Yeah.
make it happen.
So that was Ashton Park
The
2,
second.
and you sold that out very quickly as well.
194 apartments, 20 days.
20
90% in 20
Amazing.
days.
Amazing. Amazing. So, Faizan, I want to know now, because you've successfully launched 2 projects, sold them out. I want to know your 4 projects.
Yeah.
Well, 1, 2. Okay.
Oak, Ashton Park
Yeah.
Residences, Ashton Park Townhouses, AshtonK the second.
Got it. Sorry. 4. You've launched 4 projects successfully. You've sold them. What is your vision for Mirfa IBC going forward?
Basically, we want to build spaces that matter. And we realize that there are 3 sets of people related in this transaction. The first set of people that are the people living in the house. And a lot of people think that the people living in the house is the person who's purchasing the house. That's not the case. The people living in the house is the family. And the family care about very different things than what the person who purchasing the house may necessarily care about. And it's important to design for them. We don't want to build museums. We want to build houses that are genuinely livable. The memory of your firstborn child, the memory of your kids growing up, the memory of that argument, they're all important. And that's a part of building the house. So the first thing that we actually spend a lot of time on is giving you enough spaces that maintain your privacy and that make you feel like, okay, this is my space. But at the same time, we don't want to make these houses unaffordable. We want to make sure that, I'm not saying we're cheap, but we're expensive, but we're giving you value for what you're buying. So just to give you an example, in our townhouses in Ashton Park, a lot of people do this normal configuration where they want to have 2 bedrooms on the first floor and 2 bedrooms on the second floor. But you see, usually the husband and wife, they want a little bit of privacy. So what we did is we flipped it. On the second floor, we just gave a beautiful master bedroom with a very nice jacuzzi overlooking the park. So you get that very surreal feeling. But we want the kids to enjoy. So we created this nice family area in the middle of these 3 rooms, and you can put like a games area, sitting down, couch, relaxing. This way, we've given you your privacy, but we've also given the opportunity of your kids to have fun. So you're having a party and you want to be in the hall and the kids don't want to come down. They're in their PJs. You can sit in the family area. You want your privacy, sit in your master bedroom. Nobody's there on your floor.
Right.
That argument on whether you should get the Chanel bag or not can go on for as long as you want. Doesn't matter. Nobody's going to hear it. So it's just creating those spaces.
Right.
So that was the first area that we're focusing on. The second area is what it makes to build a house that people care about, and which is essentially the quality. A lot of the times, many developers like to give projects out in turnkey, which is they'll find a good contractor, they'll give them the project and they'll leave it. We realize that it's extremely difficult to control quality with that. And we've seen what Shobha's done. Shobha's done vertical integration and they've done a phenomenal job. But you see, vertical integration requires a lot of time to get right. And for someone who's doing this new, obviously we can't go the whole 9 yards on day one. But we need to deliver almost the same quality, if not the same. So how do we do that? We separated out the contractors and the subcontractors. Every single finishing goes through our team. Our team sits there. Our interior designers sit there. Our engineers sit there. It doesn't matter. We have the supervisors, we have everybody, but everything is handpicked by us. Goes through a rigorous quality control. We do all the purchasing ourselves. Sometimes, actually most of the time, we end up paying more. For example, the MEP from our contractor
was cheaper
by 10%. We pay 10% more. It costed us a bomb, but we said, fine, it's okay. We want to get that quality. So I think that's what we believe takes to build a good house, which is you actually spend that effort. And the third part of this relationship, no matter how much people disagree with it or not, is to make sure that the people who actually sell the house are motivated and have that transparent communication. And that's not just through commissions. We don't offer the highest commissions. We offer everything in the market standards. But We build relationships. That's why we have 150 brokers with us, with 30 agencies. And you know what? If anyone has a problem, they can reach out to our team at 2 in the morning and you'll probably get a reply within 15 minutes. Somebody is always available. And if you want to come and meet me because you feel that something has been done wrong for your customer, like I just had something today where somebody called me up and said, this clause in your SPA, we want you to make this better. Done. And then he said, but we don't want you to make it better for us. We want you to make it better for all your customers. Done. We just change it for everyone because why not? If we can do something like that.
Amazing. Okay, that's great, Faizan. How because of your your past experience with technology, I know you're doing a lot with that for your upcoming developments, right? So tell me how you're incorporating technology into your developments.
So we're trying to build the first home GPT. And this is very interesting.
So what did that mean?
Home GPT is more like, you know how you have Chat GPT, but we want to incorporate it into your house. And I'll tell you why we're the right people to do it. You see, a lot of people think that this is a problem that someone like Google or Apple is going to solve. And you have to understand why this is a little tough for them to solve. You see, when you're going to go ahead and put all these devices into your house, it's not going to work because the device doesn't know where you are. The device doesn't have context. The device doesn't know whether you're sitting down, whether you're standing up. You don't know any of those things, right? So for example, if you tell Siri, switch off, close the curtains, Siri is like, which curtains? Where are you? Are you in the living room? Are you in the dining room? It doesn't make sense. So what we did is we built a system where we have mics all around your house, which is listening at any time. And you could just be like, hey, Mirfa, home, switch off the light. And it knows exactly where you are. So it knows which light to switch off. Because when you are interacting with the human, do you tell them, switch off light L4 in... No.
Yeah.
You say, switch off the light. And the human understands that. When you're with the human, you say, close the curtains. Close the curtains. When you're a human, you say, set an alarm for 6 a.m. And guess what? It will set an alarm for 6 a.m. Your house, your room will ring so that your room can wake you up. It's late at night. You get up. You want to use the washroom. You want the lights to come on. Guess what? You put the foot on your from the bed on the floor and the lights come on. But you don't want the lights to come on too much because you don't want to disturb anybody else in the room. So it's accent lights that come up which don't cause glare. So you're not disturbing someone. And you walk to the toilet. You walk into the toilet, the lights switch on. And guess what? These lights have presence sensors, which means you're sitting in the toilet. You don't have to keep waving your hand. Okay, I'm here. Keep the lights on. No, as long as you're there, everything's going to be on.
Right.
So this is the kind of technology that we're calling Home GPT. And from what we understand is this is a first. This isn't there anywhere else. And it requires a lot of AI and computation to make that happen. But the most important thing, sorry, I forgot to mention, is it's privacy focused. I told you that we have cameras, we have sensors, we have everything. All of this data is going to a computer in your house. It comes with the house. If you disconnect the computer,
you disconnect the system.
It's done.
That's it.
So you don't have to worry that we're spying on you. You don't have to worry anyone's spying on you. It's
got it.
It's there.
But this is keeping in mind convenience for the people living in the house and making sure that the technology that there is doing what they want.
Exactly.
And not doing, something else.
Yeah. Our ideal is that you're going to get up one day in the morning. I mean, how we're going to do that is a journey. But you're going to get up one day morning and you're going to be like, hey, Mirfa, home, get my coffee ready.
Yeah.
And your coffee should be ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
Your house should tell you, listen, there are no eggs in your fridge.
Okay.
Your house should tell you that.
Yeah. That's gonna be insane.
Yeah.
If that happens. It's gonna happen.
It will.
It's gonna happen.
It will happen. It will happen. It'll take some time, but it will happen.
So Faizan, I'm really excited to know where you're gonna develop next and what do you have in mind for Mirfa coming up.
So we're launching
next year, let's say.
We're launching 2 projects now. We're launching a project in Medan. We're building, I would say, luxury houses starting at about 10 to 12 million and going all the way to 25 million. Basically 5 bedrooms, 6 bedrooms, 7 bedrooms. But again, functional spaces. So you're gonna have a good amount of lawn area. You're gonna have a really nice pool. You're gonna have an elevator that goes all the way to the roof. You're gonna have your kitchen, dirty kitchen, clean kitchen, a show kitchen, everything like that. And the location's amazing. It's in District 11, Parcel E, right next to Sanctuary by Ellington. So what you're doing is you're getting an Ellington product at about 30% lesser than the price. So I think it's a great thing for you to do.
Great. So we'll obviously be working on that together in some way or form. So I'll be really excited to see what you've designed.
Project in JVC.
And one more JVC.
JVC.
Amazing.
180 apartments.
Great. Sounds great. So just want to wrap things up on a positive note. I think I've learned a lot from this discussion that I'll take forward, in my life. And of course, venturing out, creating teams, creating solutions to difficult problems is something I like to do as well. So I'll definitely, I think there's still a lot to learn, and I'd love to have you on another time so we can talk about technology, tech, AI, what's the future, right? I think that'll be a really interesting talk. I have a lot of ideas myself.
Look forward to that, Jay.
Brainstorm. Right?
Look forward to that.
And just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on Punjabi Sharks. Would love to have you again. Hope you had a good time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was fun talking to you as always.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.